Look up at the night sky, and it's easy to picture space as a giant empty room, with stars and planets floating around like scattered furniture. But that vast, dark emptiness actually possesses a hidden, invisible structure. Back in the 19th century, early physicists suspected space had its own architecture. They called it the ether. Because they viewed the universe through the lens of the Industrial Revolution, they pictured this ether as a mechanical substance, a physical fluid, or a gelatin filled with microscopic gears. In 1887, the famous Michelson-Morley experiment tried to detect this physical substance. They found absolutely nothing. So science concluded the ether didn't exist, and the space between stars was a complete void. But that conclusion points to a massive blind spot in how we investigate reality. Imagine trying to measure a magnetic field using only a thermometer. You'll get a reading of 0 every single time. That doesn't mean the magnetic field isn't there. It means the instrument is designed to look for the wrong type of energy. Humanity didn't lack evidence for an underlying structure to the cosmos. We lacked the proper scientific vocabulary. We were trying to define the universe using the language of physical machinery, missing the possibility that the structure was composed of something else entirely. As Albert Einstein mapped out relativity in 1905, and the quantum revolution followed in the 1920s, the universe was still treated primarily as a physical puzzle. Space bent and particles collided, but the search was always for things made of matter. That changed in 1948. With the birth of information theory, researchers finally had the mathematics to describe complex, ordered structures that exist independently of matter. Information became a measurable scientific property. This shift leads to a modern concept known as the ether, spelled with an AE. Unlike the old mechanical gel, this ether is a mathematical, phase-structured field. Modern physics already accepts that empty space is buzzing with invisible architecture, like quantum vacuum fluctuations and fields. The hunt for physical gears was ultimately replaced by the study of the universe's underlying code. Physicist Melvin Vopson explores this idea through the lens of a computational system. He proposes that physical laws are manifestations of a source code, rules executing instructions across the cosmos. This grid diagram illustrates the second law of infodynamics. Information states evolve to minimize entropy. Tracking dozens of scattered objects requires immense processing power. If they consolidate into a central node, the data required to defire the system drops significantly. This diagram scales that optimization process up to cosmic proportions. On the left, a sprawling cloud of high-entropy cosmic dust demands high computational power. On the right, that matter is compressed into a single low-entropy planet. It's a massive data optimization process. In this model, gravity isn't a mysterious, invisible rope pulling objects together. It is an underlying optimization script running across the universe's grid, clumping matter to save on processing space. If gravity acts as a cosmic data compression tool, a new question emerges. How do solid objects form within an informational field? What makes a group of waves feel like a particle? In an informational field, solidity is a matter of timing. Random vibrations pass through each other as noise, but when waves align their cycles perfectly, a state called phase coherence, they reinforce one another to build a stable, unified structure. This 3D plot shows a localized region where vibrational phases have organized into a persistent, mathematically stable configuration. The ETA model refers to these localized pockets of order as reality knots. It's similar to a stadium wave. If everyone jumps out of their seat at random, there is only chaos. If they coordinate their timing, standing and sitting in a precise sequence, a clear, persistent wave travels around the entire arena. The wave itself isn't a solid object. It's a pattern of synchronized action. A solid particle of matter follows the same logic. It is a persistent, synchronized wave moving through an underlying ocean of information. Zooming out, the physical universe appears as a nested hierarchy of these informational structures. Atoms, cells, and planets are all synchronized patterns of varying complexity. The reality we experience, the weight of an object or the texture of a surface, is the polished graphical interface. The ether is the underlying source code that renders it. This connection between geometry and information may extend into biology. Because a reality knot is defined by its mathematical shape,
The precise double helix geometry of DNA could allow it to function as a resonant antenna, interacting directly with the broader informational field to coordinate the complex dance of life. This framework is a conceptual map, not a finalized truth, but it forces us to consider a staggering possibility. What if reality is much deeper and much more structured than our senses were ever meant to perceive?